Hey everyone, have you ever noticed this about your worried mind? I am driving along and here's the analogy, okay? The analogy is, as you're driving, maybe you've even noticed this about driving, and we'll get to how it relates to your mind, that you see an obstacle in the road and in your focusing on the obstacle, in your attempt to avoid the obstacle, you actually veer right into the obstacle. You actually run over the piece of cardboard or something like that. And that's a very similar thing actually to our anxious, worried minds. When we are distracted by the stories in our mind about what could go wrong or what might go wrong or what went wrong in the past and how it might go wrong in the future, how it might get even worse, or when we're distracted from presence, from being fully alive and fully awake, free from the filters of perception, of perception being influenced by the past or the worries about the future. When we are not flowing with life and actually just in the moment of driving, then in the moment of being, then what ends up happening is we don't act as skillfully as we otherwise might. When we are worried, when we are anxious, we actually are activating the survival part of the brain, which actually decreases energy and blood flow to our prefrontal lobe, which is responsible for, positive choices, healthy choices, creativity, resourcefulness, etc. So we actually diminish our capacity to perform well, and we end up running into the very obstacles that we think that we are doing justice to by worrying about them. And this simple analogy happens in driving. It happens in life. And one of the things that we can do as human beings is we can understand a tremendous amount of useful information. And one of these pieces of information that we really get to kind of benefit from is all the research that is being done about the brain's negativity bias and how we can free our mind, our body, our brain from the brain's negativity bias, from this evolutionarily built-in capacity to focus on what could go wrong as a survival strategy that is kind of not always relevant. And in fact, it's very much not often relevant. It's certainly relevant and meant to protect our body when we're walking through the desert and we see a stick. Our brain is designed to assume that that is a snake, and then to act immediately, to react, jump back, and then go, oh, it's just a stick. We're designed to assume that it's a snake. And if we have the opposite, we could be in big trouble. That's useful, that's positive, that's wonderful. But when that same principle of our nervous system gets applied to our memory, to our perception, to our future expectations, to our relationships with our spouses, to our experience of navigating the day-to-day life, we end up actually generating a tremendous amount of worry, frustration, anxiety, etc. That can actually be quite crippling. We can either get really angry about it, we can get frustrated about it, that's fight. We can get worried, afraid about it, that's flight. We can even shut down because it's so overwhelming, that's freeze. Flight, or freeze. And it's all based on this negativity bias, which is not actually accurate. It's not actually participating in the flow of life as it actually is. And when we can free ourselves from this mechanism, which we have the capacity to do as human beings through many different tools that we can use to our inner advantage, then we can actually respond much more skillfully with much more ease and grace, and we don't run into those self-fulfilling obstacles. All right, hope this helps. Have a great day.